This is an excerpt from the Epic of Gor Mahia, a narrative written and read by Adrian Onyando. Were had been bored by lack of action in his land. This son of Onyango was bored with beer and opium. So he went farther afield to his mother's people. He went to Kamwango to look for action there. He found his mother's people in disarray, scattered by powerful neighbors. They had no land of their own. They had no gardens or trees to call their own. Hunger was their mother, disease their father, death their sibling, and suffering a kinsman of them all. Were gathered his mother's people, told them to die in war, not in peaceful hunger and disease. He led his mother's people against the neighbors and carved for them a territory. The Kamwango were grateful, but Were found the pride of his life. He called the Kanyamwa elders for a party, and the elders were happy. They had spent months sniffing for a party where they could curse Gor with their asses thrown to the sky. But only Were knew the meaning of his party. It meant, "Fool, eat to your full, and open your ears wide. I am in command." Were had to narrate his exploits first. At first, it was Were talking. Next, it was Were and Bia talking. And then, it was only Bia talking. "Giving birth to a person like me is difficult. People of Olmsted, I'm telling you the truth. War is difficult. But to have a war leader like me is more difficult. My uncles rose from the dead when they saw I had arrived. Were the Kanyamwa paying their bride wealth twice by sending their daughter's son to lead them in war? I reached the enemies by one leap and finished them by one sweep of the hand. Aye, my buffalo skin shield. It had 1,000 arrows stuck to it and another 1,000 spears bent on it. Victory came our way like it was our stolen thing retrieved. So my uncles now have a territory of their own. People of our land, war is great, but greater still is the man who wins it. I, Were Onyango, won the war for the Kamwango. I, Were Onyango, am the greatest warrior in Ramba. Yet, my people have not made me the Osumba. Who can say I am not the Osumba? My uncles made me their Osumba, Miruai. So here too, I am the Osumba, Miruai. Were Onyango eyed the crowd with bloodshot eyes. He alone knew the meaning of his party. It meant, "You fool, eat your full, but I'll heap you with insults to the full." Into the Angere jocular insults, Were plunged, and the elders urged him on to say something about everybody. If he's as short as a traditional stool, you sit on him. If he's as huge as a hippo, you ride him. And if he's as soft as pumpkin, you eat him, was the chorus. And everybody knew who was short, who was huge or soft. But Were Onyango wasn't yet over with the Angere. The elders urged him on and pointed at a fellow elder to receive a jocular insult most foul. Among us here, went on Were, are the rich who recoil like roasting meat whenever they are asked to host a party. But I am the wealthy man who invited his fellow elders for a party. Who says I'm not a chief? Were glared at the surprised faces around the beer pot. Odul shot up and demanded to know who these rich men who recoil like roasting meat are. Perhaps the likes of you, said Were simply. But Odul was hurt. He said, You, Were, do not deserve to boast before the people. You only fought half as many wars as I have fought. And for that reason, wait till I ask for the Osumba title before you ask for the same. As for the wealth you have, the loot you got from that scuffle with a weak neighbor, it cannot feed the elders for more than a day. Ratego was too drunk to make out the quarrel clearly, but he said that should children be found to be jostling for positions like animals at water point, they would be caned severely. Were took some time absorbing Odol's joke. It was mean and demeaning, glaring at Odol in a hostile moment ever since Ratego glared at Gor in their bila. Were realized that Odol did not fear him. What then did his party mean, if not to let fools cower before him? He thought of snatching beer from his guest, and at the same time wondered how a fool like Odol with someone's beer rushing down his throat could be that rude to the owner of the beer. He opted to remind Odol of the hospitality that had made him so eloquent. "You, Odol," Were said, "is it not my beer that has gone into your head? Tell us while we are here in my own home how many parties you have hosted in your own home. Tell us, Odol, tell us, and then deny, Odol, deny. Deny whether you are roasting meat whenever party is required of you. And then you shall tell us, Odol, you shall tell us when you last hosted a party." Nobody could remember when Odol last hosted a party, not even Odol himself. But everybody remembered that Odol had turned down a request to host a party for the elders. The elders cheered Were as they insulted Odol and did damage to his self-confidence. Odol shot up and with a sweeping look over the elders said he would never invite drunkards to his home. "You are the elders who should be leading the people, yet you gulp down beer like water all day long." The elders threw Odol out of the party because he was talking like a child. Odol said, "Drink that beer of yours." Then Were said aloud, actually for the benefit of Odol, "Jealousy is really a bad thing. It destroys homes of polygamous men. That man who is now proudly walking away, wiggling his buttocks along because of my beer, is jealous of my heroism. How could he grunt here like an ant bear when his maternal uncles are our slaves? Behold, I have freed my uncle single-handedly. I have freed the Kamwango." Odol fled in a huff as the elders laughed and jeered at him. When Odol was finally out of sight, the revelers broke into songs. Orlando Jawe rose up, danced, and led in song. "Beer or meat, which is sweeter?" Then the chorus, "I left meat at home to come and drink here. I surely left meat behind to chase beer." Orlando listed many food items, and each time the chorus in wise comparison declared beer was sweeter. Then Orlando mischievously asked, "Beer or opium, which is sweeter?" The elders laughed and said that was a difficult question. Were brought out his giant puga ginyalo. Everybody partook of the strong opium smoke inside it. Ochieng Ratego burst out into a war chant. "My buffalo hide shield, my buffalo hide shield," he shouted. He was brought his shield and spear. The warrior performed a war dance, ran helter-skelter, thrust his spear at imaginary enemies, shouting, "Joey, Joey, war is in my blood." He ran toward the setting sun. He jumped into the sky. He drove his spear into the ground. He danced behind his shield and uttered his war cries and song. But those who had known him from his youth noticed that the agility and the grace was gone. His voice was no longer the roar of thunder. They wondered whether he would lead in war again. And they felt fear eating their insides like termites eat into rotten twigs. After a short while, Ratego was spent like grass fire. He settled down for opium, jokes, and puns. As he drew a prolonged smoke from the Puga Ginyalo apparatus, he said, "Everything is sweet in nakedness. You get a sweet potato, peel it, and sweet is the naked inside. You get a banana, take off the peel, and sweet is the naked inside. You get a woman rip off her clothes, and sweet is. The elders burst out in ecstasy. The seed of the opium crackled. The beer foamed, and the elders smoked and boozed. At each crackling of the opium seeds, they made jokes and sang praises to themselves, to beer, and to opium. Were slaughtered one ram after another for his guests. Orlando Jawor changed the words of his numerous songs to suit the occasion and praise the heroes. Were Makonyango is the wizard, who pretends he has invited elders for beer, yet he has more for his guests. Generosity came to the elders in their intoxicated state, and they invited every passerby to the party, saying, "So and so, why pass by when we have a party here?" And Ochieng Ratego pleaded with the opium, "Oh, opium, guide me along, please." By midnight, the whole Kanyamoa was at Weres, asking the dawn to refuse to come, for the night was just too sweet to be ended. "You close the eye of the sun," they said, "and sweet is the night's blanket." Aha! The dawn came, but they ignored it, as they had ignored Othul when he set out in a huff.